One nation, one law. What will change after the Uniform Civil Code? Prime Minister Narendra Modi, betting for the creation of Uniform Civil Code or UCC, has once again opened the floodgate for debate among religions as to how it will impact their personal laws. Article 44, contained in Part 4 of the Constitution, says that the state shall endeavor to secure for the citizen a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. While there is no draft or model document yet for the UCC, the framers of the Constitution envisioned that it would be a uniform set of laws that would replace the distinct personal laws of each religion with regard to matters like marriage, divorce, adoption, inheritance. Part 4 of the Constitution outlines the directive principle of the state policy, which will not enforceable or justiciable in a court of law are fundamental to the country's governments. Now, it has been argued that while India does have uniformity in most criminal law and civil matters like the Criminal Procedure Code, Civil Procedure Code, and the Contract Act, states have made over 100 of amendments to the Criminal Procedure Code and IPC, as well as several amendments to civil laws. For instance, some state reduces the fine prescribed and justified by the sender under the Amendment Motor Vehicle Act. Another example could be that the law of anticipatory bail differs from one state to another. Experts thus argue that if there is plurality in already codified civil and criminal laws, how can the concept of one nation, one law be applied to diverse personal laws of various communities? Besides, constitutional law experts argue that perhaps the framers did not intend total uniformity, which is why personal laws are placed in the entry of five of the concurrent list, with the power to legislate being given to parliament and state assemblies. Now, what Supreme Court said about the UCC? The Supreme Court in various judgments has called for the implementation of UCC. In its Muhammad Ahmed Khan versus Shah Banu Begum judgment of 1985, where a divorced Muslim woman demanded maintenance from her former husband, the apex court, while deciding whether to give her prevalence to the criminal procedure law or the Muslim personal law, called for the implementation of UCC. The court also called on the government to implement the UCC in 1995 Sharla Mudgal judgment, as well as the Paolo Contino versus Maria Luisa Valentino Pereira case in 2019. Now, what Law Commission said about the UCC? The Modi government in 2016 requested the Law Commission of India to determine how to form a code in the presence of thousands of personal law in the country. In 2018, the Law Commission submitted a 185-page consultation paper on the reform of family law. The paper stated that a unified nation did not necessarily need uniformity, adding that secularism could not contradict the plurality prevalent in the country. In fact, the term secularism had meaning only if it assured the expression of any form of difference, the Commission noted. While saying that UCC is neither necessary nor desirable at this stage, the report recommended that discriminatory practices, prejudices, and stereotypes within a particular religion and personal laws should, should be studied and amended. The Commission suggested certain measures in marriage and divorce that would be uniformly accepted in personal laws of all religions. Some of these amendments include fixing the marriageable age for boys and girls at 18 years so that they are married as equal, making adultery a ground for divorce for men and women, and simplifying the divorce procedure. It is also called for the abolition of the Hindu undivided family or HUF as a tax exempted entity. Now, what is the stance of government? While the UCC is a long-time poll promise of the BJP government, the former Union Law Minister Kiren Rijiju said in the parliament this year that the government currently had no plans to set up a panel to implement the UCC and requested the 22nd Law Commission of India to undertake an examination of various issues relating to the same. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on 27 June 2023 made a pitch for the Uniform Civil Code and hit out at the opposition parties for allegedly inciting minority communities against it. Now, what change will UCC bring? With many religions following their own personal laws which govern interpersonal relation and related issues, the UCC is intended to replace these personal laws and bring out one common law applicable to all. Implementing the UCC would bring significant changes as diverse personal law for Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Parsis, and others would be replaced by unified code. Hinduism. If the UCC is introduced, existing law like Hindu Marriage Act 1955 in the Hindu Succession Act 1956 would have to be amended. For example, Section 2 of Hindu Marriage Act says its provision will not apply to scheduled tribe. Section 5 of Article 5 and Article 7 of the law stated that customary practices will override the provisions, but UCC won't allow all these exemptions. The Muslim Personal or Shariat Application Act 1937 stated that Shariat or Islamic law will guide marriage, divorce, and maintenance. If the UCC comes in, then the minimum age of marriage under the Shariat law would be changed and the polygamy would be abolished. For Sikhs, marriage law that govern the Sikhs are covered by the Anath Marriage Act 1909. However, there is no provision for divorce. Sikh separation are then governed by the Hindu Marriage Act, but if UCC is introduced, a common law is likely to apply to all communities and marriage register under the Anand Act. Under the Parsi Marriage Act and Divorce Act 1936, any woman who marries someone from another religion loses all rights to Parsi rituals and customs. But if UCC comes, this provision will be abolished. Parsis do not recognize the right of adoption daughters, while an adopted son can only perform the last rites of the father. So, if the UCC is introduced, then the guardianship and the custody law for all the religion will be common and this will go. Christianity. The introduction of UCC will impact Christian personal laws. Under the UCC, the mandatory 2 year separation period for mutual divorce stated in Article 1 Section 10A of the Christian divorce law would be universal. Furthermore, the provision of the Succession Act 1925 that denies the Christian mothers any right to the property of their deceased children which is solely inherited by the father, would be abolished.